Hello everyone. For many professional athletes, winning a competition is their highest priority, especially when it comes to something like the Olympics or the World Championships. Winning would be a major career achievement, and sometimes the desire to win is so great that athletes are willing to do anything to get a medal. In today's video, we're going to tell you about athletes who made really unusual decisions to finish first. Let's get it on. Hill Taylor. Hill Taylor is a swimmer known as the Dolphin Man, but not because he can throw water out of his nose. Taylor earned his unusual nickname during a university backstroke swimming competition. While all his rivals rose to the surface after the start and started swimming, Taylor decided he could just swim underwater. The guy swam the whole race underwater, setting a new record, finishing the 50-meter race in 23.1 seconds. Neither the referees nor his rivals were ready for this, but Taylor's phenomenal result was not valid anyway. According to the rules, he had to come up after overcoming the first 15 meters, and since the athlete didn't do so, he couldn't win.
Well, look at Hill Taylor just going for it. Wow, Hill Taylor touching in 23.
We wonder if Taylor himself realized it, or hoped that everything would be fine anyway. Or maybe he was just so excited that he couldn't even stick his head out the water. Infinite Tucker. Winning at any cost is apparently the principle that American athlete Infinite Tucker follows passionately. He won the 400-meter hurdle race in a very peculiar way. This happened at the SEC Outdoor Track and Field Championships. Infinite held the lead nearly the entire lap, but his teammate Robert Grant began to catch up with him near the finish line. Victory was slipping away from Tucker, so he took a desperate move before the finish line. He suddenly stretched out his hands and dived over the line, as if he were trying to fly away to save the planet. But what's really fascinating is that it actually helped. Tucker didn't violate the rules in any way, because in running, the finish is determined by the shoulders or the torso. So he really did win. Internet users named this jump the Superman dive, and Tucker even came up with a cute explanation. Look, I closed my eyes over hurdle 10. I opened it, saw my ma at the finish, and I jumped to give her a hug. That's all it is, Tucker told ESPN after the race. By the way, Robert Grant, who nearly won, wasn't that upset. He said, smiling, "If I say what I thought, coach would probably kick me off the team." Antonio Margarito. In 2008, the promising boxer Miguel Angel Cotto was in perfect shape and had won one fight after another until he faced Antonio Margarito in the ring. For some reason, Cotto was hit again and again, and by the middle of the fight, he was completely exhausted. Cotto's face was swollen, and in the end, the boxer lost the fight by technical knockout. It was a stunning victory for Antonio. But before Margarito's next fight against Shane Mosley, Cotto's trainer, who was present when Margarito's hands were wrapped, noticed a strange powder on the fighter's armband. Of course, the commission seized the substance. Antonio's hands were wrapped again, and the fight still took place.
Right down from the corner, and Shane Mosley has annihilated.
Soon it was discovered that the fighter had gypsum on his hand wraps, more precisely, calcium sulfate. This material, in contact with air and moisture, which forms in excess during any fight, turns into a plaster pad on the boxer's fist. Can you guess where this can lead to? Basically, Margarito, who was a pretty good fighter, was using plaster knuckles. Of course, when this news broke out, there was a huge scandal. The boxer was even suspected of using gypsum in other fights. In the end, the commission suspended Margarito for at least a year, despite him insisting on being innocent. The athlete claimed he had no idea what the substance in his hands was, and that he had nothing to do with it at all. After all, Margarito didn't wrap his own hands, did he? Boris Honeschenko. Soviet pentathlete Boris Honeschenko came to Montreal in 1976 with one purpose: to win 2 gold medals. He already had a team prize, but he wanted his own triumph so bad that he became obsessed with it. So, Honeschenko decided to win in a very peculiar way. The first strange signs were seen at the pre-Olympic tournament in London. Then, the Soviet pentathletes easily won the competition, which was kind of expected, but still, the rivals decided to review the footage of the fencing event, and they saw something odd. The épée of Boris Honeschenko clearly missed his opponent, but the light indicator still went off. They kept replaying the video over and over again, but it was clear that the Soviet athlete didn't hit his rival at all. They decided it was some technical malfunctioning, but at the Olympics, it happened again. The referees decided to examine Honeschenko's épée and found a secret button hidden in the handle. The athlete would press it, closing the circuit that registers the contact and changing the scoreboard in his favor. It turned out that the skillful fencer was also a brilliant physicist. The sword was replaced, and even without cheating, Honeschenko won several times. Unfortunately, this didn't prevent him from being disqualified for life. Vittorio Brambilla. Italian pilot Vittorio Brambilla competed in the Formula One from 1974 to 1980. During his career, he only won pole position once, but did it in a very peculiar way. He ran his fastest lap at 1 minute 24 seconds and 630 milliseconds, with an average lap speed of 170.918 kilometers per hour. For all spectators and judges, this result was a real surprise, and many Formula One officials tried to find the reason for the sudden acceleration of the car, but couldn't find an explanation. Brambilla just did it, you know? Anything can happen. Many years later, though, the mystery of such a brilliant result was revealed by Robin Hurd, one of the founders of the Team March, for which Brambilla competed. Hurd confessed that in those days, the organizers of the races recorded the time of the lap with a special light beam. Someone in the team figured out that this beam can be blocked not only by the car crossing the finish line, but also by any other object. As a result, whenever one of the team's cars was at a distance of about 45 meters, someone from the team started waving the pit board across the timing line. That's how Brambilla got his awesome result. Diego Maradona. Many people know about famous Maradona's Hand of God goal. In the quarter-final match between Argentina and England in 1986, Maradona reached the opposing team's penalty area, beating several opponents, and then sent the ball to the goal with his hand. It looked like an obvious violation because in soccer, only the goalkeeper can touch the ball with his hands. However, the referee didn't notice anything and counted the goal anyway. After the match, Maradona said that the ball was sent to the goal partly by his head and partly by the hand of God, and refused to admit that it was a violation. Argentina then ended up winning the World Cup. Would it have been possible without the controversial Hand of God? Who knows? Tom Brady. If you know anything about American football, you probably know it's played with an oval-shaped ball. This ball has strictly defined parameters, like the pressure inside it and the weight. The balls are checked by the referees a couple of hours before the match, and then placed behind each team's touchlines. You would think it's impossible to do something to the balls to secure your victory, right? Actually, it is when it comes to American football. New England Patriots quarterback Tom Brady has always been an amazing player, but during a match, the referees thought that there was something wrong with the balls Brady threw dashingly to his teammates. The examination showed that 11 out of 12 balls were slightly deflated. They were brought back to normal, but in the second half, Brady kept cheating by playing with spare deflated balls. Brady's opponents were playing with normal balls, and the game ended with a crushing victory for the New England Patriots with a score of 45-7. An outsider, though, might think that a deflated ball isn't that bad. In fact, it is easier to grip and twist the ball if it's deflated, which is especially important in humid weather. After the investigation, a major scandal broke out, but it is still unknown whether Brady knew about the deflated balls and was trying to cheat, or if he was just a victim. Vanessa May. Hold on. Vanessa May is a famous violinist. What does she have to do with sports? But this isn't a mistake. Vanessa always had a dream to compete at the Olympics. This opportunity was granted to her by the National Olympic Committee of Thailand, especially since May claimed that she'd been skiing since she was 4 years old. But the International Olympic Committee has set standards for those who want to compete at the Olympics. Without completing them, you can't even dream about going to the Olympics. However, by some miracle, May met the standards and got the right to compete in Sochi. At the Olympics, Vanessa Honeschenko, she competed under that name at the Olympics, finished last in the 67th place in the giant slalom, almost a minute behind her closest rival. It's aroused suspicion because May had performed better before. How come she ended up doing so badly at the Olympics? The International Ski Federation conducted an investigation, and it soon became clear that the violinist had indeed faked her way into the games. All those involved were disqualified for 4 years, except May herself. To be more precise, the court cancelled her disqualification, although it admitted that the violinist had no right to participate in the Olympics without complying with the standards. Well, that's fair, but it looks like May wanted to go to the Olympics so badly that she was ready to do anything. Psst, dude, are you looking for new technologies and great gadgets? Are your thoughts focused on the future? Do you love huge vehicles and can't imagine your life without robots around you? Then visit TechZone and you'll find all this and more. The link is in the description. You interested? Great.